Time to do a little quickie on the whole Ghostbusters controversy. So let's gonna explain in realistic terms exactly why this is a controversy, the reason for that controversy, and ultimately what this film is trying to achieve in terms of demographic targeting and marketing. So Ghostbusters originally was a 1984 movie starring an all-male cast, except for a couple of women here and there, notably Sigourney Weaver. I'll get to that in a second. And it was in 1984 with an obvious targeted demographic of adult males. It ultimately became something of a phenomenon which spawned a lot of cartoons and toys, which sort of also had a targeted demographic of young boys beneath the age of 12. I had a lot of these toys. I had the ambulance. I was up on the morning watching the Ghostbusters cartoon, which I didn't think was all that great, but I enjoyed it. And I had the toys, which, usually back in the 90s, toys were somewhat an exaggeration of the characters you saw on screen. If you had Batman, you also maybe had Batman in a mech warrior suit with spring-loaded, rocket launchers. Or, these Ghostbuster characters had these great big motherfucking weapons and shit that weren't in the show because kids, young boys, like big fuck-off weapons and accessories to these toys that are weapons. So the targeted demographic for all that in the very early 90s when I was watching this was young boys. So if you're a legit fan of this franchise in one way or another, chances are you were a male between the ages of 25 and 40. And of course, if you're going to try to make something like this, it would be great for you to try the same tactics as the cartoon and maybe dumb the show's humor down a little bit and get rid of that really raunchy shit so that you could score a PG-13 rating at worst. And again, target a bunch of kids so you can sell toys. And these kids would be boys. And you'd be wanting to put shit in that film that would make great toys. Cars, planes, crazy weapons. And big bad guys. So you could sell good $30 toys. So what do we have now for this 2016 film? We have a bunch of caricatures of fat, nerdy women, mousy, nerdy women, raunchy, Tyler Perry-esque, yelling, crazy, stereotypical black lady, and the dirty, grungy, badass bitch. Your Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer type character. And there's a intense aesthetic change in the ghosts, the humor. First of all, objectively, and not really important to my points at all, is, look, ultimately, the whole misogynist thing is dumb in terms of the criticism of this film. Because they think, oh, we hate these women. Well, take that actress I mentioned earlier, Sigourney Weaver, one of the most successful sci-fi action franchises of all time, and all the 4 films, more or less, in the bibliography of that film series. She stars in all of them. They're all overwhelmingly successful and generally liked, some more than others. And she's the badass at the forefront of all of it. And the demographic that supports these films and the associated materials around these films are male. Now, why is that if we're all misogynists who can't handle female leads? And keep in mind that Alien came out around the same time as Ghostbusters in the 80s. So, we supposedly hate this because it's women. Let's go back to the demographic thing. Here's the point. The demographic for Ghostbusters has been male between the ages of, say, 7 and 40. Male. Depending on what you're looking at in terms of the Ghostbusters franchise. How obvious is it that the targeted demographic for this film is not males at all, and it's not even just women or girls? The targeted demographic for Ghostbusters, and you can tell this not so much because of the trailer, but because of the marketing and the press surrounding this film, the targeted demographic is simply female feminists. Now, I would criticize that as a strategy because it's been overwhelmingly shown that targeting feminist attention and feminist consumers based on what they bitch about or complain about or activist about is not a strong marketing move. Anita Sarkeesian has no general real effect on gaming sales because her fans aren't gamers. Her fans are feminists. And the only reason they care about her is because she's a feminist and a very highly visible feminist. To support her is to support the ideology. She is a figurehead. Okay? So when she promotes a game, the game sees no appreciable sales. When she's associated with the development of the game, there's an immediate backlash from gamers. Because gamers don't like her. And in conclusion, you're completely shifting the demographics of a Ghostbusters franchise from the established demographic of the franchise and making a very dangerous risk in targeting social justice warriors. They'll probably see the film based on the figurehead phenomenon, that it's a feminist act to go see Ghostbusters. And I believe the film will ultimately make its money back because also just a bunch of parents will drag their kids to see it because it looks like a kid film. And Ghostbusters has been associated for a long time as sort of a kid's thing with the cartoons, the mass marketing towards children. So it'll be difficult to send a message as an anti-feminist saying, fuck this movie, don't go see it. We'll make sure it doesn't make its money back. It probably will. Will it be an overwhelming smash success? No. Will it be a critical success by the quality of the really terrible, fucking lame-ass humor and stereotypical representation of the women who are supposed to be the heroes of the film being very dry and stale and cliche? This film will be panned by everyone. There may be some crazy feminists who will think it's the greatest thing ever. But I don't even think feminists will go out on a limb and support this film on the grounds of its quality. They'll be talking about this film as a message. So when feminist media outlets target Ghostbusters criticism, saying, oh, we're just trying to send a message that we hate feminism, it's not untrue. But there's a reason why. Demonstrated that this film is targeting social justice warriors as its demographic. I don't believe that was a wise ploy. They would have made much more money just targeting kids. Even with an all-female cast, if they had avoided that kind of controversy and that kind of criticism and said, no, we're just trying to make a film and hey, we wanted to do women, whatever, and it's a reboot, that probably would have been fine. The clarity of the message that this film is trying to present to us in its marketing and in its representation in the media is part of why we hate it. And then ultimately, the film has betrayed its demographic of young to young adult males and said, we don't want you, we're not looking for you, we're looking for social justice warriors. And that's insulting in and of itself. I obviously am not incapable of loving a film with a female protagonist. A lot of my favorite films and video game franchises have female protagonists. That's not the issue. The issue is the naked message being sent by the film and its marketing, and the support it's receiving from obvious social justice and feminist outlets, based purely on the ideology war. That if you hate it, you're a misogynist. If you love it, you're a feminist. Which shouldn't have anything to do with this as a film at all. And ultimately will not spell overwhelming success monetarily in earnings of this film. It's just gonna do like all reboots do, all lazy reboots do. And the reason why we keep seeing lazy reboots is they make their money back. No matter how badly they suck, no matter how much they're panned, no matter how much the original demographic of the original film hate the film, they make their money back easily, every time, and that's why we keep seeing them. And ultimately, with that top comment that everybody thinks is so misogynist, is a salient point. If you don't want to see this shit, don't go see this shit. Avoid giving it a red cent. fucking don't go see it, don't rent it, don't review it, okay? Stay away from it. And you have to do this. Otherwise, you'll keep seeing it. It has to lose money for the film industry to get the message, don't do this. And that's a salient point in all fucking consumerist items. Don't buy it. And honestly, that's the only way feminists should, in essence, protest shit. Rather than bully people, attack people, slander people, make threats, and try to attack companies. They should just not buy the shit they don't want to see on the shelves. And if they're so numerous as they are, they would have an effect without hurting anybody. And then if they had any sort of cohesiveness in their buying power, then they'd be a legitimate sales target, a legitimate sales demographic. I don't believe the evidence shows that feminism is a cohesive enough market to try to target at this point. They're just crazy, and I don't think you can really succeed. And it's going to depend on just parents bringing their kids to see this shit. That it's going to make the film make its money back. I don't think targeting social justice warriors, in essence, if only social justice warriors were to go see this film, would it make its money back? It would not. Anyway, this video's gone on long enough. Thanks for watching.